How's it going, Internet? A little over a week ago, a 7-year-old boy and his family were off-roading out in rural Texas when a couple of trigger-happy rednecks chased after them with a shotgun, firing as many as 4 shots into their retreating SUV. Before I go any further, I would like to clarify my choice of the word redneck in this context, so as not to offend anybody's delicate sensibilities. Not only do I feel that this term or one of its colorful epithets like hick, hillbilly, or gutter-sucking white trash is absolutely justified in this case, I believe I can back it up with evidence. I'll use what I'm going to call the Foxworthy principle. For example, if you decorate your backwoods shanty with a Confederate flag and a handwritten sign about how much you love shooting people, you might be a redneck. If your mind is warped enough that you can rationalize the brutal assault you just committed by calling 911 and explaining they was tearing up the levee, you might be a redneck. And finally, if you look out your window and see a 7-year-old on your lawn and your first instinct is to grab your shotgun and start firing indiscriminately, you just might be a redneck. Unfortunately, that's the full extent of the humor value in this story. The boy died as a result of his wounds. The only good thing to come of this tragedy was that the boy's organs were donated to other children who desperately needed them. The kicker in this story isn't that the family was shot at in the first place, nor is it that the crazed psychopaths tried to chase them down on an ATV as they were trying to retreat. No, what's really screwed up here is that the whole trespassing defense doesn't apply because the victims were never on the assailant's property in the first place. The perception in American media, and especially on the internet, is that there are exactly 2 viewpoints you're allowed to hold on the subject of gun control. The first being, you can have my gun when you take it from my cold, dead hands. And the opposing argument being, guns are bad and evil and every gun in the world kills over 1 million puppies every year. It doesn't matter that your opinion on the subject might be a little more moderate than that. If you're on the internet and you join this discussion about gun control, you're going to be pigeonholed into one of those 2 camps. If you're really lucky, you might get put into both camps at the same time by different people. This story with the crazy gun-toting Texans really isn't good for either arguments. If you're pro-gun, you're going to have a hard time defending your position when people can just point to the senseless slaughter of a 7-year-old. And if you're anti-gun, you can't really wave this headline around without at least implying that every American gun owner looks like this. I certainly can't claim to have any real answers, but all I know for sure is that this particular story ended up with a murdered child. My heart goes out to the family for their loss. I'm not the praying type, but if you are, maybe you should say one for them. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully with something a little more cheerful to discuss.